What's going on, everybody? Power Rangers has had many eras, from the OG Saban era to the Disney era to the Neo-Saban era to now the Hasbro era. Which era was the best, and which era had the potential to be the best if they didn't sell it? Let's talk about it. Let's hear from the fans. Hit that intro, Rangers.
You are watching the Fan Club.
You're watching the Fan Club.
And you're watching the Fan Club. Do you know what time it is?
And you know what time it is.
It's time for the Fan Club. Let's go. Hey!
I can't do this on my own, cause you know things ain't always sweet when you out here in these streets. But my morpher when it morph, I made a fake one.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fan Club. It is your boy Dan Brosnan in the building. We have a fun episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the many eras of Power Rangers. Now, before we really get into every single era, we have to kind of introduce you to the timeline. For anybody that's not super familiar with Power Rangers, we're going to break it down. So first of all, in 1993, Saban created Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1. It was a #1 hit, and at the time, it was only supposed to be one season, but it became so big that they weren't going to pull the plug on this thing. They were going to milk this cow, baby. So we got 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin. Then that went into Zeo, Turbo, Power Rangers in Space, Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force. Then you got into Wild Force, and that was basically the end of the Saban era. Saban sold all the rights to Fox Kids, Fox Family, and all the shows, including Power Rangers, to Disney. Now, Disney had control of the franchise. There were talks that they were going to can it. There were talks they were going to do other things with it, but they continued to make the show. But this time they were going to make it in New Zealand. So this is now the Disney era. In 2009, Disney was done with Power Rangers and was about to take on Marvel. They sold the brand back to Saban, and this is what we call the Neo-Saban era. In 2018, Saban sold the rights of Power Rangers to Hasbro, and they have held on to the franchise ever since. It has been a crazy ride for everybody. No matter how you came into the picture, there have been some pretty quality seasons, some awesome action, and some good characters to watch when it comes to Power Rangers. Back in the 1990s, Power Rangers was at its peak. I can't even lie, those first 3 to 4 seasons were just crazy. The TV numbers that they brought in every single day from kids after school or Saturday morning. Kids would wake up. We're talking millions and millions of kids would wake up every single Saturday at 7:30, 8, 9 o'clock. They would be there watching Power Rangers, man. And it was just, a 30-minute episode. But that's how you got into it back then. They had these kids hooked. It was a great era, but I will say that those first 3-4 seasons were really figuring out what the brand was. I think that season 3 was when they started to not only have a little bit more money, not saying they put a lot of money into these shows, but the budget got a little better. It seemed like the show was put together a lot better in season 3 compared to season 1 because the show had an identity now. They knew what they were doing. The show wasn't going to get canceled anytime soon, so they had probably a better budget in season 3 than season 1. Then you get into Power Rangers Zeo. That was a real quality season, and Power Rangers was still the #1 show at the time. Turbo was when they took a step back, but I don't think it was because people didn't like Power Rangers no more. There was just a weird shift when they handed off the powers, and really when they handed off the powers was when the show got better, in my opinion, because they had these new characters like TJ, Carlos, Ashley, Cassie that they have to build now. with Tommy and Kat and Tanya, etc., they were already on the show for so long that they were ready to write them out. And in the Turbo episodes, there wasn't a lot of meat on those bones when it came to that Team 1 cast, right? Once you bring those new guys in, it was a very nice season. Once Team 2 came in, then In Space was probably one of the best seasons of all time. Lost Galaxy is one of those super underrated seasons where if someone said that's the best season, I might have a mild argument, but honestly, not going to argue too much because that was an amazing season. I love that one. Lightspeed Rescue was the season that showed that we can't use trains, even though I really appreciated this season. I like the trains. I like the Zords. Just number-wise, this was where we started to kind of lose some momentum. Then Time Force picked it back up. So in my opinion, this early Saban era was super crazy. Then the last season was Wild Force, but technically Saban only had the rights to, I believe, season 1 of Wild Force. When I was a kid, season 1 was on Fox Kids, but then season 2 was on ABC Kids. So it was interesting how that all happened. Ninja Storm was technically the first season to be a Disney season, even though season 2 of Wild Force did come out through Disney. And if you like buy an old DVD or VHS from back then, it's going to say Buena Vista Entertainment and not Fox Kids or not Fox Entertainment, which Buena Vista was like a Disney third-party type thing back in the day. When it comes to the hype, the first Power Rangers era probably has to be one of the biggest, man. It was crazy. Being a young kid in the 90s when this was at its peak is a big reason why I still am talking here with you guys. That is a great memory. Those are some good feelings, man. And not saying that you guys that are younger can't feel that with Power Rangers, because I love Dino Fury. I love Beast Morphers. I can only imagine if I was a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old watching this show, I'd be loving it. So anybody that's like, oh, you're too old, you're too young, whatever, no, just like what you like. This is a dope show. I've always appreciated this one. And I think that first era was just done perfectly. There were mistakes, don't get me wrong. We had everything working on our side in that era. We got it popping right away with a catchy rock song in the 90s with karate, dinosaurs, superheroes. This was like a formula made for success. Once they wore out the dinosaur idea, they went on to different Zords, they went on to different seasons. It really was an amazing time. And then Saban handed off the brand to Disney. And I think that this Disney era had a lot of untapped potential. There is an argument to be said that if Disney kept the rights and actually wasn't scared of this brand, that this could be something completely different than it is now. Because you have to remember that they didn't know what to do with this brand, but you know they wanted like a boy brand. They wanted an action brand. They wanted something just not for the girls, because Disney Channel, even though I watch Disney Channel, a lot of boys watch Disney Channel, but a lot of the programming was for girls. So this was a perfect opportunity to go get the boys in on this, and they never aired Power Rangers once on Disney Channel. I always thought that that was just a big regret that I bet they have now, because they pushed so many shows by just putting them on there and kids watch them. So many movies I never even thought in a million years I'd watch, but I watched it on Disney Channel as a kid. If they put Power Rangers once a day on Disney Channel, it would have been a bigger hit than you guys know. It would have been nuts, man. But they never really pushed it. They never really gave it the love. And then as soon as they sold it, they got Marvel and it was over. They, all the way up to like the end of phase 3 of the MCU, they were killing it, man. They made a crap ton of money, a bunch of awards, a lot of great things came from the Marvel universe with Disney. Now, lately, has it been great? No, but they did do a lot of good things. It's almost like, a team they won 3-4 championships, and now they kind of suck, kind of like the New England Patriots, if you know football, right? They used to be really good. Now they're not that good, but you can't take away everything that they did, man. My team was better last year, but I still wish my team was like that and could go win, right? We love our team, our Power Ranger team, but we still wish that we could go out there and get these awards, get those numbers that these other shows are getting. And Disney, even though they had like all of the quote unquote weapons, they had like everything to make it happen. They were the big machine, if you will. They didn't really show love to Power Rangers like they showed love to their other shows. And if they did, we could be talking about Power Rangers in a completely different light, because a lot of these shows that they were doing were super clever, but as production went on year after year, it seemed like they were cutting the budget more and more. So all the director had to work with was pretty much a couple cameras, some cheap actors, and you're basically just got to write a good story. And that's what they did, man. They capped it off with RPM. It was dope. It was great. I loved the Disney era for what it was. I do argue if that one had more funding behind it and more care, people actually took the time to put it on the other networks, I think that this could have been a bigger show than what it was when Disney had it. Then when Disney handed it back off to Saban, first of all, it was probably one of the greatest steals of all time, like a legal steal. And Disney kind of fumbled the bag, but really they didn't, because they got other IPs from the sale. But pretty much Saban got back Power Rangers for way less for what he sold it for. So it was pretty freaking cool. He got the brand back, and he said from the beginning he's going back to the 90s and that style. And that's exactly what he did, and I think that that was kind of the end for his era early, especially after Samurai, which I will say, they did some numbers on Nickelodeon. When they brought Power Rangers back, Nickelodeon advertised it. They actually cared for a few seasons, and they were doing some decent numbers on Saturday mornings. I think they even gave it a good slot, like a 10 a.m., 11 a.m. slot. Not too early, not too late. Perfect. Kids are still watching it. And then once Megaforce just didn't get the love, and I get why it didn't. It seemed like they were onto something, and then they kind of fumbled the bag early with an anniversary season. Everyone's expecting way more than what they gave them, and they stopped caring real quick. Nickelodeon stopped caring, and towards the end, I remember watching Beast Morphers. They would get no love, man. Even Dino Fury, the only commercials I would ever see for Dino Fury is if Hasbro paid to get like a toy commercial in there. It was nuts, bro. I never seen anything like it, especially with new shows coming out. It was like Nickelodeon hated Power Rangers. It's like no matter what we do, these big brands lose interest in Power Rangers after a while. And then Hasbro takes over. I really appreciated what they did with Power Rangers Beast Morphers and Dino Fury. Then they gave us Once and Always and Cosmic Fury, and we can tell that this isn't the end. Like, this isn't what their big plan and grand idea was. Their big plan was to change Power Rangers and to make it different. Now, we heard they're still going to make some kids content, but there's going to be an overhaul, brand new reboot. The Power Rangers series that we know is going to be changed up. The format is going to be different, and I am cool with that. They could change it any way that they want to go, and I'm hoping that they give us something TV-14, and that is something we are hearing it's going to be. It's not going to be for kids. It's going to be more for, young adults, 14 and up. I think that would be perfect. I think it would still be smart to give the kids something. But I like the way that Hasbro has it. They have some problems that they need to work out, but this hiatus could be good if they do it right. It seems like every era that Power Rangers has landed has had a nice period where there was some success. The fans loved it. And then after a while, there seemed to be a period where the show was either canceled or it was sold. I don't think Hasbro is selling it. They paid over $500 million for this franchise, and they haven't really milked it by any means. I mean, there was the Lightning Collection line, but there were so many toys and things they didn't really get into. We've been hearing about this reboot for like 4 years now. It is interesting, but what era would be the best if it was fully invested into and had every opportunity to succeed? I think that we got mostly everything out of the Saban era, except maybe a Time Force movie would have been freaking crazy. I think the Disney era had so much potential because, one, it was Disney, they had the firepower, and they had the storytelling. These seasons were pretty well put together. There were some gripes because of the budget, and there was a lot of constraints and things when it came to that, but Disney had the most potential, but also the most lost potential. There were so many things within these seasons that just could have been better. Some characters, though, came off super cool, just had a few one-liners per show, and they didn't really get into any backstories or nothing like that. I do think that the Neo-Saban era was cool for Samurai, but gradually in time, it got worse and worse. Dino Charge was okay. I would argue that's probably the best Neo-Saban era show. But I remember trying to get into Ninja Steel, and I just couldn't, man. It just wasn't very good. Hasbro added some heart and some better storytelling to their projects. I appreciated them. I like what they were doing, and that's what brought me back into the brand. So the Hasbro era brought me into the brand. I got into the brand from the OG Saban era. So Hasbro's doing something decent. They could be doing it better, but I think if I were to close my eyes and kind of think about the opportunities, I think that the Disney era was the era that with the lost potential. The Neo-Saban era was a weird era where we wanted Power Rangers to come back, but the way it did kind of lowered its quality, in my opinion. Now, some of these seasons were decent, but none of them really stood out as a top 5 season. I mean, even the Disney era gave us RPM, which is arguably, a top 5 season. Really good one. Hasbro gave us Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury, Beast Morphers is pretty good. Like, one of those seasons you might like, right? It seemed like the Neo-Saban era never really found its footing, like right off the ripper. They had one decent season and then everything just came undone as the years and years went on. Same thing with the toy collection, and Hasbro is in a similar situation, but I think the brand is a lot more stable. Now, what are your thoughts? If I were to pick, obviously the OG era was probably the best because of the numbers and everything like that, but Disney had the most potential. But Hasbro, if everything goes right for them, they could kind of change a new wave and create a new wave with Power Rangers. Now, I want to hear from the fans out there. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Shout out all the fans out there that take the time out of their day to watch this content. You are the real MVPs, and we will see you next time. Peace. I just want to give a special shout out to the Gold Ranger members out there. The Arctic Operator, Roderick Ham, Papillon Purple, Salima Ramirez, Danny Nascimento, Stephen Heffelman, Chaos Draco, Thomas Franco, Anime King Nick, Louis Cairns, Miguel Ortiz, and Sean Schiffer. Thank you guys so much for your support, and if you want a video shout out like this one, sign up to be a Gold Ranger member today. I just want to shout out all of the fans out there for taking the time out of their day to watch this content. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you can, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and hit that share button. And if you guys want to be a member, click that join button right now. We have a Blue Ranger membership that gets you into the exclusive fan chat Discord. Then we have have the Gold Ranger membership. It gets you into the fan chat, but you also get a video shout out at the end of every video. I want to thank you guys again. If you can, sign up to be a member. We will see you next time. Peace.
Hi, we're Bulk and Skull. We have been requested by the fan club to say something funny.